really going on from every single level, and to confront those that are not doing that. Because it appears at this point that we're being attacked. And, as the old saying says, I'm a lover, not a fighter. I think a lot of people have that personality. They don't get into, especially spiritual people that are practicing positivity, they don't get into all the battles and dualities and things. But, however, the indigo, we're here for a war. And that's something I was told even younger in my life when I talked to older lady who could see auras, and she said, you have an indigo aura and a crystal aura, and you're here for a war. And I never really understood what that meant because that was a long time ago. But now I see. And that allowed me to pretty much come to a position where we're ready to put together multiple things. We're already doing movies. We already have the book. We're putting this together, a social network, and we have a social network now. And so we're actually going to make what we know as the last stand for those that are positive beings that intend to ascend by just learning what we call now the esoteric secrets of the real meaning of life.
Oh yes. And I could certainly appreciate what you said about Dr. Blair. He's I consider an elder of mine as well. He's also been with us several times here on Occult Science Radio. I miss him, and I have to bring him back. So now, if you're aligned with Dr. Delbert Blair, then you've definitely aligned yourself with someone who's very, very powerful. Because, and I totally agree with you in the fact that we need to confront people, especially people that look like us, who are out here under the guise of consciousness, but they're doing just as much to, shall we say, distract us, as you previously stated, as those who are obviously put out there to distract. Would you agree to distract us? Would you agree?
Definitely, and even more on a high level, because this is where we're in the spiritual community itself. This is where the individual that's spiritually powerful has to hold up the whole nation.
Oh yes.
Because you can have like you can have millions of people out there voting for Obama that are unconscious. Millions of black people voting for Obama that are unconscious, but there's one conscious individual that can hold up a million people's mistake. And those conscious people grow in spiritual communities. They don't grow out really in the world.
That's right.
And so what we have to make available, especially for our youth that are coming through that have the special abilities, we have to make available a portal for them to be able to go into the higher knowledge so that they can continue to keep our ears open in other dimensions, because Earth is just not the only thing going on. I know it's a crash on a lot of people's parade, but there's multiple things going on here, and it behooves the person to get involved or see what the repercussions is for neglecting of such value. And so going right into things, and the book really started, everybody goes under the bus. We discovered a lot of things that were even appalling to recount and to even believe, especially with some of the black leaders and what they were involved in. Here's a simple example. Like there's something going on right now that really needs to be put in its place, and that's in regards to Malachi York. Now, I've had the opportunity through the Most High to be around some of the individuals that were the closest into that network, even family members and some of the firstborn of the 200 kids that were bequeathed to fallen angels. And I will say this. They're saying that this individual was not guilty, but I've been next to some of the individuals that were abused that are suffering things from the rest of their life because of what went on in that community as when they were children and pure.
Wow.
Not to mention, he was still, if we want to put all that under the carpet, pointing everyone to Anu, which is still a Sumerian god and has every single connection with what's actually attempting to hold us back at this point. So that is one of the things that I'm talking about, where sometimes our ideas of just wanting to, overthrow something and to get back together, and there's a conspiracy going on, this disinformation immediately creeps in and does the opposite and takes advantage of that. And that's some of the things that we're going to end. See, this is now not about anymore. This is not about, well, we're going to make sure that we're correct and we're a little afraid because, they have magic and things like this. What we've brought with us doesn't have a name. And so if they're still calling on a God, they still haven't figured it out. And we know that now because that's what the ancients really knew. And they marked that in their books. Now, who knows who added more stuff to it after that? I have a few culprits. But what was originally told and said is that you could only interface with the Most High through yourself and inside. There was never anything external that you needed. And when you added something, you put yourself down a path or a top, as they call it. Mm-hmm. And once you did that, then it was going to be reincarnations of something like a game where it was going to get taken a little too serious and you can get really deep in it. They say many men have lost themselves playing in the cube. And what they're talking about is that pyramid is a tetrahedron, and it's 8 sides on it, and it's a portal, and it sits down into a ley line and crosses over many different ley line energies here on Earth, and it was used for something and continues to be used for something on this plane and dimension. Now, if a person thinks they're going to get involved in a world like that and they're going to ever run something, that's like you trying to go into Bill Gates' company and just say, okay, this is what we're going to do. You just walk in the front door. This is what we're going to do. We're going to cross over the software. Are you kidding? So many people never understand entering a pyramid. You stop at the bottom, and you start at the bottom, and you stop at the bottom. And the weight on top is so heavy, indeed, it crushes anything underneath it. And that is, what really people think that they can play around with. And that's really what's coming forth to our people is the same Elizabethan or fire cults that had started up before that didn't seem to get us anywhere but our memory wiped. Because the only thing that's precious about life is the memory, because if you don't have the memory, then it's like it didn't even exist. It's void. And that's why many people are going to find themselves going through the void, and because you can't map the void, or quarter zone, or 333 as they call it. You can't map it. You get lost in it until you become made back in a substance called Ma'at. And then they bring you back through a pyramid again with your memory half gone. And so these are the things that we end up finding out what's going on. And so what we're doing, because of course if this level of information is being released, it's definitely the end. What we're doing is we're getting that information in people's hands, and we're doing everything that we can with the organizations that we started up to make sure that this gets to it rings across the earth, so that people just have a choice. That's the thing. The choice has been removed by consent of the person, but they've been conned, or like Apple's logo, icon, or Genghis Khan. And so what they've been conned out of is their soul, because the beginning of this was, what do the gods really want? It just turns out that the human being harnesses a lot, especially when it's put through fear. And so most religions are fear-based. And where that begins, if you see where an individual ends up going, if you take a look at, some people are asking me about Hemet. They keep bothering me about Hemet and what I said about Hemet. Hemet knows what's going on. If you go to Facebook and you go in Hemet's pictures, you'll see the Baphomet, 3 or 4 of them right in there. And he's not displaying those as if, hey, this is some esoteric knowledge that we need to watch out for. He's displaying as if this is me. And so if people need to understand and get a brief lesson off of Baphomet again, they could just go ahead and Google it, because there's enough stuff out there for that. But it's time now for these people who are involved in this stuff just to say what they're involved in. And the same thing with the Jesus. Moses raises a brazen serpent on top of a pole and tells everyone to fall down and worship it so they can be cured. But, wasn't it like 4 books ago we weren't supposed to be worshiping the serpent? So which one is it? And this is what I'm saying is that I don't have a problem with people worshiping what they worship, but I do have a problem with people worshiping something they don't know what they're worshiping, if you get my drift. Because there's a lot of people that are involved in mysticism, and it won't be turning around for them anyway. But it's high time that what's been done in the dark comes to the light. Now, listen to the statement. What's been done in the dark will come to the light. Now, they practice in the dark. That's dark magic. So they already said that it was going to come to the light, because they manifested that thing. So now what they've been doing is coming to the light. So what we're doing is we're helping bring it to the light. Like the lion, the cowardly lion, as they say, won't come up and he won't admit what he's done. He won't say what he's done. So we're just going to help him out a little bit. And the reason